We're here.
Welcome.
Cold Pod.
Here we are.
Special guest, Raf, in the building.
Hello, hello.
This has been a kind of, again, a long time coming because we were talking about this for a while.
Yeah, but you know that's why it's how you build up hype, man.
Well,
you gotta get the machine rolling. You know,
you gotta get it going. You gotta tease the guest.
Wind up.
Be like, you're next. Be like, you're next. Don't worry, man. You're next. You're next. Yeah. But actually, you weren't next. It was just one of those things where it was one of those things. It was one of those things where it was like, because we only do one a week.
Yeah.
And it's like, you talk to someone on like the weekend and I'm like, yeah, next week, let's do it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh wait, but we booked the guy next week, like 2 weeks prior.
Yeah.
That's it, yo.
So I forget.
Life in Toronto, no peace. Things are always just going, man. Just going. You
gotta go. You know, when you stop making music, you start podcasting.
That's what you do.
I'm just kidding. I didn't stop.
Josh is officially announcing his retirement.
No, I couldn't be further from the truth. All right, well, welcome.
Thank you.
What's going on in your life? What's new?
Oh man, holy! It's been a mad run the last like 6 months since like we've had this like proper. I mean, I don't know if it's proper, but like some sort of semblance of like returning.
Yeah.
To a distorted view of where things were.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The rose tinted glasses. Of the party.
Yeah, it's
circuit.
been a trip, man. Like, as you guys know, I also work at the Little Jerry, and that's been like full tilt.
Yeah.
Like just getting people DJing regularly there and beefing up the program and actually like working like full on like without like a lockdown. So
do you do the programming there?
I do, yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. Sweet.
I do. But yeah, beyond that, like shit, man, like I'm just trying to think like everything that's happened, because it feels like in my brain right now it's like there's like a VCR recording, but it's on like 4x speed, like playing when you ask me the question. I'm like, it's like trying to like catch like,
I did that. I played on this.
Or in Toy Story when like the pig is like going through all the channels on the TV. Like, what has been happening?
Well, it's crazy to think about because like you're totally right where things have just moved simultaneously, like fast and slow. You know what I mean? Because you have this like, oh my God, we're back. Like we can go to parties, we can DJ, we can da 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 da. Yeah. But at the same time, because we're like kind of quote unquote back, it's now like you like forget like how important it felt like, I don't know, 6 months ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we're those first.
Yeah, we're deep in it now. We're deep back. That it's just
we're
like,
deep back, man. It's deep back for sure.
We're deep back.
Oh yeah.
Well, have you been DJing a lot?
Yeah. I've been doing the monthly at the Jerry the last Sunday of the month, which has been super fun. Like,
I still need to go to one of those. Here's the thing. I have to say, Sunday parties are tough for me.
Well, you work early, right?
It's not, but it's honestly, it goes beyond like working schedules or anything. I think I'm just like, so even if I'm not hungover on a Sunday, my body just from like years of like going out assumes that Sundays are just like a relaxed day because it's like I probably did something the night before.
Yeah. Are you a man of God?
No, not at all.
All right. Okay.
Like actually,
that's okay as well.
No, but it's funny because you would think that, right? You'd think that I'd be like, like Sunday, Lord's Day, it's just, family. But no, it's more so just like, I think, like I said, I think it's just the feeling of like the assumption that I'm tired from something from Saturday.
Right.
Yeah. Which is not
even if you didn't do anything.
Exactly.
It's your muscle memory.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. This is the problem with the calendar system. You see, it confuses people. It's pure confusing people. We've been duped for like thousands of years, and I have a lot to say about all the ways we've been duped.
Let's get into it. Calendar's a great way to start.
Well, I mean, it's funny, doing the Sunday party, kind of where I came from to approach it was like, I was like, Toronto, the music city, and one thing I've noticed right now that's been really cool is like these shows on like Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Like I asked people, like, what'd you get up to this? Oh, I went to this crazy show on Tuesday. It ended at 11, but it was ripping, and I was like, oh wow, like that's a thing now, like actual like acts that you would expect to play like a Friday or a Saturday, doing show on Tuesdays, which is like very cool for me to see.
I
and also the other end of it of like people being like, yo, I'm going on a Tuesday, like let's go, I'm like, that's really cool. And I kind of like, I really like the like when I was in London a few years ago, like going to these like Sunday all dayer things, which has been a tradition.
Totally. That's
there,
what I was gonna say.
the Sunday all dayer where you go out after the club.
Yeah.
To the pub.
Yeah.
And then to somewhere else, and that's really, really cool because I feel like somewhere in that tired and loose kind of state of being one might feel on a Sunday, there's room for some magic.
And here's the thing is I like completely agree. And it's one of those things where often, when you go do something in a different city or different country or whatever, and you're totally accustomed to that idea that's just so foreign to what you would normally do, but I shouldn't say you can't apply it to where you live, but you have a harder time because it's like
it feels like another.
Yeah. It's like I've
and it
100%
exists in the culture. It's hard, you can't just like
But I've 100% done the London Sunday like DJ at 3 p.m. kind of shit, like vinyl, like pints, like. But it's like, but I guess you feel like it's like a cultural thing that I feel like. And I'm glad that you're doing it. I think it's like sick. I'm not saying that I'm not down with it. It's just a funny thing where it's like I have yet to like embrace it,
Well, let me tell you, it's as much of a feat for me as it might be for you to come and show up. Fuck, man. It's like, why? I wonder sometimes, why do I do this to myself?
Yeah.
And like some of my friends are like, you must have some sort of like masochistic like thing that you get out of it. And like maybe that might be true in some regard.
We all have a little bit of that.
A little bit of that,
especially
like,
when it's something that is like for more than just you.
I'm Bangladeshi, I'm all about the struggle.
Life is a struggle.
Hell yeah.
So like, but it's been really fun because like everybody so far, like I always have a guest that comes with me, and like some of who don't know the format of the party. It's like, by the way, like we're starting at 6. We have 3 hours of warm up to warm up, like just ambient jazz and dub and chill out. Like we're really, really like moving at a snail's pace for the first 3 hours. And like, people are eating. It's like, and that's like kind of like we put people in this like
a trance
like,
almost.
This like wormhole of like, we don't really tell you where we're going yet, but like you're in this kind of like ether of like very chilled out vibes. And
do people often stay for the whole thing?
So we have a few that join on this journey, the real pilgrims of violent relaxation. There are a few.
Hell yeah.
There are a few, and they've been blessed with the Goa holy water.
Yeah.
And shout out to them. You know who you are.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really interesting because they never intended to do that, especially like the first timers who are there. They're like, I don't know how we ended up like staying here for 8 hours. Like, this is ridiculous. Like it's ridiculous, And I'm like, yeah, fair play. I don't expect that from anybody. The whole thing is like you can come and go as you please. Like you can come for the chill out bit. If it starts getting a bit too violent, you can. The door is there, and you've done your part. You helped kind of warm up the early vibes, and like that is a serious role that I appreciate. But yeah, like. Also, then Sunday is kind of like the day, like the Friday for everybody who works in service or other kind of 9 to 5 situations. It's like, they also need to like have a place where they can while out.
100%.
If you couldn't do it on Friday or Saturday, and I wanted to just like kind of offer this like, I don't know, this kind of like very. There's no structure other than that I will stand up for 8 hours with a friend and like do this,
and play music. Well, because you also forget that like weekends actually do suck. Like they're the worst. They're like literally the worst nights to go out.
Oh, 100%. Thursdays are the best.
Thursdays are
Thursdays
wicked.
is always Thursdays are the best.
Thursdays are lovely, know.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, the approaching a Thursday, but from the other side. From
earlier in the week. depending on what day it starts.
So that you're hungover for the start of your week.
Well, it depends. Is Sunday day one or is Monday day one? Some people say it could be either or. But that's interesting about the whole, 8-hour party, because I always think it's amazing when you approach a night beyond like a set, to have the freedom to like actually like set the pace and the tone of an entire room for a night versus
shift.
just like, oh, here's my, there you go, a shift. But versus like, you know, like a set, like you have like an hour and you really got to like show yourself. Because oftentimes like DJing, like, you know, when you have that hour, you simultaneously want to you know, make people dance, but B, also play the shit that you want to play. Because the whole point of like, I shouldn't say the whole point of DJing.
Selfish but giving.
You have to be selfish. You absolutely have to. It's like, why do we do any of this shit? Because we want to play the shit that we like. You know, I didn't get into DJing to like, I actually didn't get into DJing to make people dance, but it is fun to do that.
Yeah.
But like, you know, you want to like
to get recommendations.
There's nothing more fun than like playing shit that people haven't heard and like getting a reaction that is like positive, being like, whoa, like you just played some crazy shit. I haven't even heard this genre.
Yeah. It kind of like operates on like 3 acts, you know. There's like, there are some people who it's the opposite of what you were saying, where they're there the whole night. They only come for specific moments of the night, and as soon as like
that's over,
any kind of like, you know, a groove kicks in, they're out. They're gone. And I'm like, yo, you got what you needed. I'm really happy for you, you know. And they will repeatedly come like for just that, for the you first, know. Like, you know, it's like like the 3 hours of like heavy chilling out, like you know, there'll be somebody at table 1 like just like this, like just really vibing, and like, you know, I'll do like a 20-minute side of some like 4th world record while I like go smoke a joint, and I'll walk by and they're gonna be like, you know, that's it. That's
getting a brain
I'm like,
massage.
See, you know, there's space. There should be space for that kind of a progression in a night, even on a Friday or a Saturday. I think, and it's really difficult here because of our very difficult archaic liquor laws.
Oh,
like,
I know.
It makes no sense. Like, you know, why things have to start at 10 and end at 2.
Well, start at 10, but like actually start at midnight.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, you know, there's so much more. Like, you know, I think of like all the people that I brought in, like a lot of them feel the same, of like not really caring to like make a dance floor of any kind. And there's just like really great music that people who kind of approach it from that side of things, they just, and they've been putting me on to like crazy stuff. I'm just like, whoa, like this is nuts, you know. And listening back to some of these recordings, like I realized like there is just like a wealth of music worth DJing that isn't dance floor.
100%. 100%.
Like if I could take away like all the tables and just put like little like floor cushions, put a huge rug out, like I would, you know. And if people want to eat like sit down style, like on the carpet, like, we could arrange for that, we would. And who knows, maybe, you know, there might be a time in the future where we could scale it up and do something in that way, which I look forward to, because I really just like the scope of where things can go when you start everybody from this like molasses, you know, ether.
If you were hypothetically doing something like this, would it stay in that zone if people were just on the ground, just like chilling, eating, vibing, or would it actually progress?
I mean, I don't know. I would definitely like to do one there as a smaller experiment.
That's just like chilling.
But I mean, that's the thing. Like eventually you're going to have to put the rug away, because like people start doing all kinds of crazy stuff like after midnight, you know.
Especially when they get a little too comfortable.
Yeah, I might roll up the rug at some point, and you know, maybe that could coincide like with the disco ball or something.
With the switch.
Because like we do get to like, you know, some like jungle and bleeps and bass and that sort of like naughty territory after midnight. Because truth be told, man, like that's what keeps me standing up after 6 hours.
Well, I mean, but it is very interesting to approach, you know, I don't want to say beatless music, but you know, different polyrhythms and drum patterns and things like that are just beyond, you know, the North American 4 on the floor, you know, which we're so used to as like dance music, you know. And to think that you can like actually, because I feel people like don't think about playing that music out. There's so much of it as being like, that's like headphone music, when it's not entirely the case at all. You know? Yeah.
It's, I mean, you can really dance to anything if you feel like dancing, you know, and you feel comfortable, whether you're in the beats or not, you know, like there's room for all of it. But I guess that's kind of just like what this party's about, that like, you know, it is a direct summation of like how I feel about DJing is like, you know, like all of these things that I play are like a part of me and are part of like the realm of like what I consider like music I DJ, and I don't see any reason for me to like be exclusionary of certain things on a night, like, because I don't know, like that's just not how the world works. Like the world is not like like a place where like you just have these distinct kind of homogenous thing. Everything's all mixed up.
Well,
you know,
I disagree, because I wish the world were like that. I actually think
you
it's
wish
not
the
like
world
that.
were more mixed up.
Yeah,
or?
I honestly feel like you're actually one of the rare people that does that. I feel like with the sort of cliquiness of scenes in a lot of cities, you get the very one-dimensional parties.
So you see, like the reason kind of I felt that way too until like I started meeting like other people that kind of also like shared this sentiment of like, because really, you know, for me, like just reading into kind of like how a culture starts and becomes like its own isolated thing, and then how it starts spreading into other things either near it or completely disparate from it. Like the internet, like we don't, like, how can I put this? Like, for example, like house music and like, you know, techno and jungle are no longer things that are exclusive to London, New York, Chicago,
totally.
Detroit. Like, you know, like it has gone beyond for the last 30 years in small ways, but especially now, given like just how accessible like all of those things are. Like, you know, when like if Pink Panthers is like sampling, you know, that tune by
what's his name?
What's his name on?
Whatever. I'll throw it in right now.
Is it Axel Reese or whatever? You know, Alex something. Fuck, I can't remember right now. But you know the one, the jungle tune with the Lonnie Liston Smith sample. I know that when Kareem hears this, he's gonna be like, "Raf, you always play that record. How do you not know? Like, remember it right now."
No, it's whatever. We'll
Adam F. Circles. There we go.
There you go.
Adam F. Circles.
Who did approve the sample?
What's that?
He approved it in the end.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure.
But the fact that it was even something they debated approving,
yeah, exactly.
says something.
Exactly.
You know, it's like why is that now a thing? Like, you know, it's important to ask why. I think, you know, and it's like, yo, like the internet is just like a sea of stuff, and you can be as just as accessible to Algerian rye or to like jungle strictly from Essex between the years of 93 and 94.
Yeah.
Just as easily.
But you see, the thing that I tend to have not a problem with, I'm coming off very negative, and I don't mean to be. What I more so I'm saying is, with everything that you're saying, which I completely agree with, all of the access to everything, you would expect there to be more, that you'd expect people to be expanding and playing all of these different things, but I almost find people reverting back to what they're, the genres and the scenes and the eras that they're like into, and being like, I want to do that. I want to do a party where I only play the fucking jungle from Essex from 92 to 96, you know, or it's like, I like when, you know, drum and bass was introduced in like the mid 90s. And it's like, I want to do just that. It's like, I feel like we're weirdly getting into this like second wave purist bullshit, where it's like people trying to just be like, no, I
just do this.
Like, you're like, that's wrong party for this. Like, we just play this. And I'm not talking about anything specific. I just feel like people are attaching themselves to scenes and moments to try to, like, I don't know why.
I think we crave some kind of specificity to what we're doing.
We want to be part of, I think what you're saying is like, being a part of kind of like a specific thing, like, you know, because we don't have 93 94 jungle from Essex moment, or, you know, the Algerian rye from the 90s moment, or anything like that in our time. I mean, the only thing I can think of that's maybe like something that is like specificity for where we are all at in the now is like the last thing was probably trap music, and then now like drill, and like I love them.
It's
my favorite.
Me too. But again, you find yourself like, you know, I remember in like the random period when I was DJing trap music. Oof. But you know, I would try to mix in certain things that I thought would work. Right. And the way you would see people, like, you know, you're playing some like nonsensical Travis Scott song, and then you're just like, let me throw in some like you know, Brazilian like I don't know. You just throw it into like something different, and then it's like and they're just like, what the fuck is this?
And people
like
didn't respond.
No, and it has people now have been open to these genres a little bit more, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like
they get confused,
and it's like things just keep like happening and getting better, but then the doors keep closing. It's like now you can go to like a quote unquote rap party and you can hear some like ballet funk stuff. You can hear some like different like polyrhythms and different drum patterns and stuff. But then there's still certain things that you will not hear.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't like got there yet. And then it's like the most recent example would be like you'd go to like say, and I'm using rap as an example in like a specific type of party, but like you go to a rap party, you can't play house music. You just can't.
Yeah.
And fucking Aubrey Graham comes along and drops his little house album, and now people are a little more open to like 4 on the floor beats because like it's like oh yeah, I get this. But you know what I mean? But but that's it. That there's still like a glass ceiling of like what can be played in that style of party, And I don't know where I'm going with that. But I'm just saying that it's like it's interesting to like.
It is interesting, and I don't know, but like I find the more that like I've been involved in kind of approaching it from the way of like just really trying to confuse people and make them scratch their head, because it's kind of like almost like it's like there's like some kind of like clown in me that just is like, man, like you just been doing this shit for like too long. Let's just fucking let's just really like mess with people now. Like it's almost more like a sketch comedy through DJing. I almost feel like well, just some of these moves I've been pulling. It's like when I look back, I'm like, man, like why?
Well, because there's always that little moment where when you do have that moment where you're like, let me see what happens when I play this, and when it works, it's a beautiful feeling. You're just like, huh, like okay, like I remember like literally once at Apartment 200 years ago, like I don't know, the vibe was just right, and I was playing some like nonsense with Tish, and I remember putting on this like Arabic house music from it was from Beirut, and it was like, and I remember just the way it worked. I was like, yo, like I remember Tisha and I looking at each other and be like, what have we done? It was like so sick. But then again, like there was 50 other times where that just did not work,
Yeah, and like those things can also be happening simultaneously in the same space. Where like, like one time I was playing like. Have you ever listened to like in the Ghost in the Shell they got that like Bulgarian choir sample, like the mysteries of the Bulgarian choir record, and like this is like a classic in the crates at Violent Relaxation because it is Sunday, we try and get some holy vibes going. I like put on this like Voices of the Bulgarian Choir, and it's just like 30 women just belting at the top of their lungs on this record. Sounds hauntingly beautiful. And then you have like the two scenarios. It's like you got this like one person who has been there for like 2 hours now. He takes his chair and like puts it like into the middle of the room to get like a closer look into the soundscape of this choir. And then you have like the 4 like people who just walked in. They're just like
what is going on in here?
It sounds like my music my grandma would play at her house. Like, what are we doing?
It's giving,
I thought this was a disco club. Like just and like just the seeing the two happening simultaneously. I'm just like, you know what? Like, it makes sense. It makes total sense that this is how it would go. But over the last year of doing it, people have really like come around, and there's been like a very strong core group of people that have either attended or have DJ'd who are now attending them regularly. Right. And it's just, I just feel really lucky, that like.
All right, I'm coming to the next one. I'll come to the next one. I'm gonna do it.
Next one's with Chris Giles.
Okay.
Yeah,
Love Chris.
Definitely. We're gonna have a very deep reggae moment for a few hours. If you're trying to get chilled out.
I feel like the crates will go pretty deep on that one. Shout out Chris.
Yeah, shout out to Chris.
Okay, so for somebody who has such an eclectic taste in music, what do you not like?
I've been really trying to get to the bottom of this myself too, because even things that I like wrote off like before, I like have found things I like in them now. So like for example, I will. Let's get real therapist vibes going. There we go.
What do you not
Okay.
I gotta make sure this is in. Keep going.
So, like, okay, like I, for a long time, wasn't really like aware of like, like where I fit into like the country music kind of spectrum.
Uh-huh.
I think a lot of it just does not relate to like me as a person.
Yes.
Of color.
Yes.
And
No,
also just like
I know exactly where you're going
like
with this.
yeah, and like it's just
'Cause
like
I relate.
I don't know like where do I relate to this? And I was like, oh yeah, you know what? Like I probably like just don't like country music. And then like when I started like hearing some of these like downer, like real like whiskey and heroin driven like sad slow country songs like that almost have like a eerie like quality to them, but like the texture of those songs, like the way they were produced and like just the really slow reverb delayed guitar playing with some like extremely sad person.
I always found too that like with most music that I listen to, and I hate to say it, lyrics usually come last for me.
Me too.
No, I think it's just like coming from like I grew up playing drums and stuff like that's just like kind of my entry point comes in is not as like a vocalist or a singer or a poet or whatever. It's like that's the last thing that I like get to. And not to say that I don't care about lyrics at all, because I do. But the interesting thing is like with like what you were saying, this like heroin and whiskey soaked like sad ass country music. When I was doing the same thing you were doing, where I was like, everything that I hated, I was like, okay, I'm an adult now. I need to like at least see, because in my view of music is like even the worst of the worst genres or whatever, there's got to be some good shit in everything. Like there just has to. It makes sense for there to be like there has to be a good version of everything, And with country, I found myself like, and I, to preface, do not listen to country music, but have tried and have found things that I do enjoy. And it's oftentimes the thing that pulled me in was the thing that every other genre doesn't do for me, which is like lyrics. Yeah. It's like, maybe it's because it's sparse. Maybe it's because it's like, a man and his guitar. But like, you're like, oh, damn, this guy's fucking depressed. You know what I mean? Like,
holy
damn,
fuck,
bro. Like, I feel pretty good. Whereas like, I'll listen to like some like, even just like some like super sad soul music. Like, again, we'll get to the lyrics after a repeat listens. Like you listen to some Isley Brothers shit and be like, he's sad, but like he's ripping. Those guitars are just, those tones are too nice.
Yeah, and it's like country music too. I think also just had this like kind of like, they were like the famous people of country music, which have done some great songs. But there's also the kind of like soul music. Excuse me, like a regional sound for certain records.
Right.
That like just didn't really like go further beyond the borders of those regions. And all these like country 45s that are just like this, again, really sad, depressed guy who like got one record, but like really like nailed the feeling of like what that feels like.
Truly the sound of someone who's going nowhere in life.
Yeah, you know what it is,
feel
man?
for them
it just boils down to like, do I believe them? And even if they don't have any lyrics, do I believe the effort of this thing? And like truly in my heart I feel kind of what they were feeling, whether it's like country music or Essex Jungle. It's like all these styles of music, just like there's like nothing that was like left for like just for ornamentation. It's like everything has its place, and if I can like feel confident in that and like what that message was, even if it's like a more ambiguous thing, like I can get down with it.
But let's all agree that we can't get down with Electro Swing.
Oh yeah, that's a hard no for me, my friend.
We'll see.
But hey, things can change. I'm open to the possibility of the Electro.
There's way too many things that I've said I've hated like absolutely before, and then have later been like, wait a minute.
Do you know what Electro Swing is?
I've heard it, but I mean,
it's like 1920s like EDM. It's maybe the worst music like it's like steampunk music.
Yeah.
Again,
I mean, it
you
doesn't have
never
a good
know,
track
man.
record, that's for sure. But hey,
You never
we don't know about the regional electro swing sets that didn't really like make it past like into the big
Yeah, you only know
leagues.
the big guys of
Yeah,
electro.
we don't know the
My friend, you need to dig deeper.
yeah, we didn't listen to like the 1998 New Orleans electro swing, which I'm sure probably
There might be something there.
That would make sense.
I think that you're onto something, my friend.
if there is going to be a regional scene, it's going to be there.
And it's going to be CD only as well. Just saying.
No, but it's funny because I oftentimes think about what, because I always have this like push and pull of trying to be like positive but not being too positive, and trying to like find things that I don't like, and it's hard sometimes. It's not it's hard to find things I don't like, but it's hard to find groups of music where there's not like one thing that like kind of bangs a little bit, you know? And like, yeah, you're totally right with just like, and I think it just exists. I think there's like good music. No, there's stuff that I hate, but you know what I mean?
Well, there's definitely like the best expressions of a kind of like, set of ideas that make a genre for every genre. I firmly believe that. Even electro swing and, like there's got to be somebody out there who's like really like refined it and like found how to like express themselves fully.
Dude, this
the
isn't
medium.
true. That's not true.
No, man, I'm being for real. I'm being for real.
You just never know, man.
Dude, like I'm serious,
You just
man.
never
Like
know.
that's
No, but I think things change around you that make you like start liking things that you otherwise used to hate.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it happens with like style trends all the time where you're like, oh fuck, that's the ugliest shit I've ever seen. And then I don't know, things change and all of a sudden you're like, I want to wear that.
No, I agree. No, it does.
You make a fair point, my friend.
You
Your circumstance is important to consider when you become open to something new in your life.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
You never know.
But there are things. Yeah, I don't
You're
know.
like, nah,
No. The thing is, I want to believe that, but I think that some things are objectively not good. I don't want to say bad.
That's a
That
big
is
question.
that's
big
a
question.
very deep philosophical question. Is there even an objective good or bad? Is a whole other thing.
Do you think there is?
I mean, only in my subjective experience.
True.
To me, there are things that are objective.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. I guess there is no. There's yeah. Okay. All right.
But I don't know.
Let's talk about this. The record you put out, which was, did it come out this year? Raf.
The Raf Ram one?
Yeah.
Yes. It came out this year in May, and it's quite funny, kind of like how this record, like the path which led.
Yeah, because I mean, I had to look
story time.
I had to look up Paul Chivers.
Paul Chivers, yeah.
Okay.
What did you find?
Well, I was just kind of scrolling through Discogs, and
Yeah.
I was like, huh. And then a lot of like session stuff,
Mm-hmm.
which I found. But no, go ahead. Tell me.
So it was the first record we released on a label, and by we I mean me and my friend Will Hunter, who lives in Suffolk County in this small town called Bury St. Edmunds. He runs a record shop there. Cool. And he is somebody I met by pure chance a few years back when I worked at June.
R.I.P. June Records.
R.I.P. June Records. And Will, like, we had no mutual friends really in common when we met. But how he found me was he was in New York looking. He was at this like conference type thing for like eco-friendly vinyl pressing kind of machines that uses less power and is like much more like environmentally friendly. And this is like a thing that's kind of another pursuit of his that he's been working on. And he was also coming to Toronto for that reason. And he bought a record on Discogs from some guy who happened to be my friend Eli.
Okay.
To pick up at his house.
In New York.
In New York.
Yeah.
Now, he told Eli he's going to Toronto, and none of them, like, obviously, like, told me that, like, I was going to meet him. So I'm just at work one day, and this, like, guy with, like, very, like, Kramer, like, curly hair and, like, serious sideburns, like just comes in. He's like, "Are you Raf?" And I was like, "Who sent you?" You know? And we started chatting, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you know, I met this guy Eli," and I was like, "Why did he not like tell me he was like sending somebody over to like for me to like basically like show them around town?" And but like, you know, Will and I had a very good first interaction. I was like, "Yeah, dude, like let's hang out." And you know, we spent the whole week like going digging, hanging out at my place, and we took him out to Geary when 191 was still operational. And you know, we really got down, and he was like, "If you ever have a plan to come to London, like, you know, I'll try and sort you out a gig," which is not too far from Barrie.
Yeah.
So over the years, you know, when I would go over there, he would host me and, you know, put on little gigs for me and whatnot. And one year, this was in 2018, we did a gig at, or was it 2019? 2019. I'm confused. Yeah, in May, we did this gig with Paul, who records under Ramjac Corporation. And he's kind of like been very active in the early 90s and late 80s. He actually used to tour with The Cure with his friend, but not in The Cure band, but like he was doing some really interesting like tape loops of like kind of like drumming that he did. He plays conga and like a lot of percussion, and then using tape loops and then putting drum machines on top, like a really like kind of like weird mishmash of like using a tape machine as a sampler or a looper. And
sounds like my kind of shit.
Yeah, it was really cool. And him and his friend Ani were doing this kind of stuff, and they're both like heavy into reggae. And Ani as well played the gig and he was in Asian Dub Foundation. So it's kind of like this like meeting of like all these kind of like generational like kind of different people doing different things, but there's some overlap. My friend Fergus from Glasgow also came down, who's a big fan of Paul's music as well as Ani's, and this gig kind of like sparked this like kind of connection of what I was saying of like friends around the world who share this kind of like borderless music kind of interests, you know, and they just play anything and everything and are interested in anything that is new music or like, you know, new to them. So, you know, I thought Paul was probably going to leave like after his set. He was doing like some crazy like reel-to-reel like live reel-to-reel like live set, you know, with all his like crazy effect boxes. He had his like Newsy cap on with his lanyard with a flashlight. Like it was just total like just looking like some dad, you know, like order, like but it was ripping, but like it was so dope. And I thought he was gonna go home after that, like, you know, he's in his 50s now, and I was like, I don't really expect this geezer to like stay up till like 5 with like me and Fergus like, you know, doing bumps of K like in this cage, you know, like DJing to people, just like so gnarly, you know. And so we're there, and like, you know, Paul ended up staying the whole night, and I had some courage to ask him. I was like, "Hey man, you know, really enjoyed what you were doing. Like, are you working on anything new right now?" And he's like, "Actually, I haven't really had the time, because what he does for his day job, he has a studio where he works with like a lot of high school students with like learning disabilities and autism, and like helps them kind of like just express themselves in a medium that isn't like, you know,
a medium like audio medium, or
like making music and like just giving them a chance to kind of like do something fun with that, you know. It's like an extracurricular program with like a local school in Hampstead, and you know, he's quite busy with that, and he does a lot of audio for TV and film, and you know, he kind of like was really receptive that like I nudged him, and he's like, "Let's get together." And I was like, "When can you get together?" He's like, the 28th of May. And I was like, right, like the day before I leave back to Toronto after being on the road for like 4 weeks. All right, I'll see you there. And we spent the whole day like in the studio, just kind of like our whole one rule was just, let's just work with whatever machines are there, and we'll make the best of it. If we get something, we get something. If not, we don't. And our approach was like, after setting up all the sequences on all the different devices, we just did a live jam for 3 hours and recorded everything, and like had all our extended breakdowns multiple times. And then from that, we cut up pieces of that
And,
to
like,
put
made
together this like
arrangements.
different arrangements of like the same motif.
Yeah,
if
yeah,
that
yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And that was really cool because like,
Well, you got the
know,
rotten mix, you got the rotting mix.
yeah.
You got the
And like he just had like so many different ways of like expressing the little like sequences that we made into like all these different kind of
So
expressions.
did the arrangement stuff happen after you left?
After I left,
Yeah,
like I told him, you take a stab at a few, I'll take a stab at a
Okay.
few. I want to make like a slowed down one. I want to do like one without any beats, you
Yeah.
know, like just have all the bases covered and just see what happens. It was like
Yeah.
an experiment, you know, like
yeah.
kind of like that was our restriction, was that like this is like the whole track is like there in those sequences, but like let's see how many different ways we can like express it. And
Sick.
it was just really cool. It's just like we set our limits,
Yeah.
and then we executed what we could
Yeah.
in those limits.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was just really cool to like work with him because, you know, he was just very excited and,
Yeah.
you know, very encouraging in the studio, like given that we'd never worked together before.
Yeah, and we had met for the first time.
and met
like-
for the first time.
Yeah.
Like,
But when that happens, it's like it's a beautiful thing when like, you know, when the vibes just like, when they're just right. When
They
it just
just
clicks.
work. Yeah.
It just works, you know.
and
But sometimes
yeah,
it doesn't.
we've been working on more stuff
Sick.
since then. That's forthcoming. But to get the record out, it was really funny. So we had the record done, and like Will and I were kind of like, should we put it out ourselves, or like, what do we want to do? And I was like, in Glasgow during lockdown of 2020,
Mm-hmm.
first 6 months I was kind of like stuck in Glasgow, and I decided to ring up my old distributor, who I was a client of when I worked at June at
Yeah.
Rabadub.
Yeah.
And like they've been around since like 91 or 92 or something, like just like putting out lots of music from in and around the UK, as well as, you know, from Detroit, and, you know, mostly club music. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take a shot and just see like if
Yeah.
Richard has any interest. So I sent him the tracks. I wrote him an email. I was like, hey, check this out. By the way, like this might be like total chancer of me to even ask, but
Right.
I just wanted to put the idea in your head and see how you felt about it. Like, we really want to put this out. Like, what do you think? Like, would you be into like putting some stuff like this out, or is this like in the wheelhouse of what you guys are doing? And he's like, Raf, just come to my house in a couple of weeks. We'll sit in the front patio in like 10-degree kind of misty, rainy weather with like a 6-pack in the middle, you know, and like 8 feet away from each other, because, you know, he was homeschooling the kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And his partner was also working from home. He was working from home. It was just a very precarious kind of COVID lockdown situation. And
Yeah.
we didn't even talk about the record, actually. We just chat for like 3 hours about like what it means to be like a brown person in
Yeah.
like our diasporic homes. And
All right.
you know, he's half Indian from Calcutta, and, you know, my family's from Bangladesh, so
Mhm.
he's got some West Bengal in him, you know what I mean? And we just like talked for hours, and then at the end he was like, right, then let's do it.
It's sick.
It was just so organic, you know. And
Yeah.
like this
Yeah.
record kind of is a representation of like all these like ways where it was like unintentional that, you know, we kind of found each other,
Right.
this crew of people.
Yeah.
And we just kind of also, as a result, have like created satellite
Yeah.
DJ homes for everybody that
Right.
have been involved with us, and built this network, you know,
Mhm.
of people who kind of like have this like, you know, the no rules style of DJ.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that it's like we're creating our own little bubble in the greater world at
Yeah.
large with this. And
Well, I think it's definitely a moment that's happening. I think it is happening, and more of it is happening. Because even with like, you know, we've always talked about our love for like Rob Gordon. Like, I think that's somebody who also just like, for me, was someone that was like, I always felt really, you know, pushed that narrative sonically.
yeah,
And
I've told
Like
Rob,
here, and I mean here,
yeah,
I mean here in Toronto.
many times I was like, I'm just happy you exist, because it makes
Yeah.
Exactly.
me feel okay to be me.
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. And that's what it comes down to. It's like, because you you get stuck sometimes where it's like, you want to, be yourself. You want to play what you want to play, but but you also want to get booked. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you want to find a space and a home to like actually cultivate these sounds and these kind of ideas.
Yeah,
for sure.
Someone like Rob is like the kind of person who like, goes so far.
Yeah.
That I'm like, which is why I fucking love him. Like, I want that. But you know what I mean? It's like, it's as soon as, anytime I think that I'm getting a little out there and like really feeling myself, it's like good to know that like, this is nothing compared to whatever that guy's going to do,
And he's not afraid to like piss people off too.
Exactly.
Like, he's going with where he's going. And that's,
He's playing on Thursday, actually.
Yeah.
We should go.
Yeah, we should.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's insane.
But that's the thing is like, but just like, it's nice to know that we're all kind of like, trying at least.
Yeah.
It's important to try, and like the more we collectively confuse people, the more
open to
confusion. Open to confusion that they get.
Yeah.
It's like, there is possibility for other ways to look at this thing we do. Dancing about late at night, Well,
I wanted to also discuss, so I didn't know you were born in Tokyo.
Yeah, I am.
Obviously, I did my research today. No, but I wanted to talk a bit about like Tokyo and Scarborough as these two places that I feel like maybe had some sort of influence on. I mean, Scarborough, I do know, but like for either of those, like what was the influence musically with either of these places?
Oh man,
'Cause I'm sure it exists.
First of all, like Japan is like just such a crazy place to like grow up as a kid. Like, especially Tokyo. I was there for 9 years.
Sick.
The first 9 years of my life, and like I've always lived in big cities my whole life, and
shout out to big cities.
Big cities.
Shout out big city kids.
Like it's it's crazy there with like any kind of media consumption. It's just like turned up to 11. Like no matter what it is you were into, and like for me, like when I was living there, the thing that kind of drew me to music in my time there was like definitely like video game music.
Right.
Like that is like such a huge part of like what
were some of your favorites?
Oh my God. Like everything that was in the Final Fantasy series. Like those scores are, it's just, that's some like God tier shit going on.
It really is. It's funny when you think of like video game music and like anime music.
Yeah.
And how it's like, too. You start to like, you're like, whoa, this wasn't just half-assed shit that was like a secondary thought, a last minute addition to finishing a project. It's like no. This was like some real like composer shit, know.
And sometimes it almost overshadowed like the actual thing that it was serving,
Yeah, the music is better than the game.
Yeah, I mean, another one that comes to mind is like Ape Escape. That shit was nutso as well, And yeah, it's just like video game music. Like the cool thing about video game music is that it's repeating.
Yep.
Wherever like level you're at or whatever. So like, how do they keep it interesting, but then not like too like hooky?
Yeah.
Right.
That it like starts to like drill into your head in a way that's not nice, you know?
Well, because there's always like, I always remember like back in the day playing a video game where, let's say it was a game that you couldn't pause. I'm trying to think of like what the example would be, but I remember this. I remember when like, let's just say it was like a game and I get to a part where there's no bad guys left. And I just put the controller down and I leave my character because I know he's safe. He's not going to get killed. Yeah. And I go do something and the track is looping long enough that it gets to this like breakdown bridge part.
Right.
Did anybody remember any of this shit? Where like you'd like make it to the end and you're like, whoa, there's like, they really thought of like ending that loop after like 2 minutes in case you got there. You know?
Yeah.
It's like just in case. But
it's very thoughtful, I found that music to be really thoughtful, and but like all of my exposure to music pretty much in Japan exclusively was, like, in terms of like music that I chose, like I like this, was through video games. And it wasn't until, my mom's side of the family, who lives in London, we would go there for like my nan, my grandmother's younger sister. She's lived there since like the 60s, and her 2 kids, they used to live in that house as well. When I was going, to visit them, I'd spend like 2-3 months of the summer holidays when I was not in school there the whole time, because we just camp out like and all my family as well from Bangladesh, all the cousins, we just chill in London for 2 months. And that was just like the norm. But that's where I got exposed to like Western music,
Right.
you know, in a way that was not just like, you know, hearing like a disco beat and like some Japanese commercial per se.
Right.
Where I knew that like it was like a distinct thing that was not something from the place. That
Is there
I
anything
would-
specifically that you can like think of that like was like an aha moment of like,
Yes,
huh,
Scooter, the Logical Song.
Scooter? I don't know
Yes,
that
they're
song.
like a Euro trance like band that
Oh,
like,
shit.
it's like we should definitely have
Oh, no,
a
I'll put
moment
it
where
in.
we play it.
Oh, I'll put it
over
in.
top.
I'll put it in. I'll put it in right now.
It's got like the super tramp like vocal like when I was young, and it just goes like pitched up to like chipmunk speed.
Oh, sick.
And the videos like them like you know, doing this like crazy like race with some cars. And anyways, it was like very Euro, very trancey. I was like, wait, like this is different. This is something else. I went and bought the CD actually, the CD
Yeah.
single. You know, that year, it was the year 2000 when my uncle got married.
Yeah.
But also kind of like the music that they were listening to was
Right.
really cool. Like, you know, my aunt like kind of caught the tail end of jungle and then went into like garage, you know, like
UK garage.
Moschino, full on like that kind of vibe. And
Yeah.
my uncle, you know, he caught in the mid to late 80s when he was going out like around like as a, you know, in his 20s, kind of catching bits of reggae and what was happening there and like
Yeah.
the soul, the late 80s soul stuff coming out of England. And like that was just like on around at the house. So like, you know, to have kind of that just in the periphery of then also me like looking, you know, there's a show called Clubland TV.
Okay.
That was like one of the channels you could get on the Sky like digital box.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like kind of like the trashy club hits in the UK, and they would just like play you one after the
Like
other.
the music videos.
Yeah, music
Yeah,
videos.
yeah.
And like it was kind of like, you know, like when Much Music had their
Like Electric Circus kind of thing?
Uh,
or I guess not.
well, Electric Circus in a
Was-
way, but like just the music videos,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
And
yeah.
or like it was more like say Much Vibe, like they
Right.
just had charts, right?
Yo, I forgot about
Yeah,
Much Vibe.
man.
Whoa. Damn. Wow.
So and like Rap City,
Yeah.
where they would just every week it would be different, and but like some things would stay on repeat.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
just was like, okay, like I guess this is what's happening here, you know. But after that, kind of few years of just being exposed to that, and you know, coming here, and then it gets into like the whole dancehall thing, and like
Right.
that just like blew my head open,
Right,
like,
right.
completely. I was
And that was, I'm assuming, a Scarborough moment.
big time. Yeah. Like it's crazy like to think like when I was going to school like in Scarborough, like from elementary, middle school, I did not do my high school there because my parents just like genuinely did not want me to go to any of these like
Yeah.
feeder schools because things are just getting rougher and rougher
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
as
yeah.
you progress like through the grades.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
yeah. So they sent me to high school in East York at Mark Garneau,
Okay.
like Don Mills and Overley area.
Yeah.
Anyway, you know, like
School.
that whole like kind of like the funny thing I realized was that I thought everybody in Canada just listened to like Beanie Man and you know like
Yeah.
and Movado.
Yeah.
I
Sean
thought
Paul.
this was just like I
It's
thought this was
Canadian
just
music.
the normal Canadian music. I was
Yeah.
like, wow, this is like different and cool.
Yeah.
And I like lived with that for like years.
Right.
Just,
This
like,
is just what we
this
listen
is
to in
just what we
Canada.
listen to in Canada, you know.
That's
I
so
did not I didn't put it together until much later in my naivete that like this was like a distinctly like
hyper local, like
a local sound, you know, and like the Caribbean sound of, you know, people living here that have moved here and or were born here, and like
Yeah.
through their family this music has been passed down.
Yeah.
I just couldn't figure it out. I was just like, yeah, like that's what they listen to in Canada, and like, you know, it's cool, like like it. And then like, you know, I started
You
going,
went to
like,
Mark Garneau and
yeah,
you're
I
like,
went
wait
to
a
Mark
minute.
Garneau, and I was like, oh wait, like there's this whole other thing, you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
even though Mark Garneau was also like a majority, like, you know, people like not like white Canadian folk, like, you know, it was only then I realized, like, you know, I got invited to like some house parties in like Rosedale, like from one of my classmates, and I was like, where's the Sean Paul at? Like, what's going on? What is this? Like, I was really confused, you know. In
Like
grade
big
9.
shiny tunes. What's going
Yeah,
on?
what's going on, man? Like, I was really confused, man. And you know, obviously after some research, I realized like, oh, like this is just like a different.
Yeah.
There's like a whole other Canada out there that isn't like those things.
But then the funny thing is that
crazy.
whole other Canada has no idea that this exists.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like I would even tell friends, because like my mom's from Trinidad, so like there's obviously a big like soca and like calypso and that whole thing. Big, like a lot of that is in Scarborough as well. And like growing up, again, it's like, you know, I was just around all of that, but like people would be like, what are you talking about? Like, what?
I mean, I didn't learn about any of this shit until I moved to Toronto. This was completely out of my.
Yeah, I mean, and as it would, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not like it's.
There's no dance hall in Orillia.
There's no dance hall scene in Orillia, Ontario. But you know what I mean? It's like,
Believe it or not, at least not one that I know of.
it turns out that it's like the most. No, I'm just kidding.
That's where it's really happening.
Yeah. You want to hear the real shit? We're like real underground.
Oh man, yeah, you know that music, like it's just so wild because like the more I looked into it, like already like reggae is like so like upside down as like a style of music that's kind of like very like there's like so much space, which is like what I love about it. You know, it's like there's space in the arrangements, there's space in the drumming,
The space in the bass.
the bass.
That's like
that's
what-
like the whole of it.
I know. It's
like,
the space in the bass is
Yeah,
like what makes
yeah.
reggae, in my opinion.
yeah, and it's cool. And then, you know, like, oh yeah, this is like already like a kind of form of like a deconstruction of like what we think is like music, you know.
Yeah.
It was like already kind of topsy-turvy. And then when like some of these like producers who made all those like late 90s early 2000s like dancehall like rhythms, you know, it's like they just got like so weird with it. Like I would never hear like any of those like sounds or hooks or melodies like or anything like that like on its own and think like, okay, the next thing I'm gonna add is like, you know, this like clapping of like, you know, from the Diwali rhythm.
Yeah,
it's like
that's as soon as
like how did they come up with
I know,
these like
I know.
combinations? And then like if you were to isolate or take away any of those things, like you just be like, it's just kind of like dumb, you know.
Yeah.
But like when they come
But then you also
together,
gotta love to what's the classic one, the one that's literally a preset, but it's like the best one.
Slang tag.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's just like so good, which is also like it was like made by like a Japanese woman.
Yeah.
Like, who just
the
like-
Casio preset.
Yeah.
It's so
Just
crazy.
like slow that shit down, like. Whew.
And then like, you know, kind of seeing how like those things like eventually tied back into like, you know, what I was exposed to from like kind of stuff in London, like, you know, drum and bass and that sort of thing, and garage, and just seeing like, oh yeah, like the whoop 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 kind of bass, like that has just been going on for like so long, and like when the dots get connected, you like are just
Well,
like,
it's almost more about like frequencies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
kind of just like, even with like dubstep and shit, it's like early dubstep, but just like, you know, when you start to get into just like,
Yeah, it's more
the
like
low
collage
end,
and
you're
sound
just like-
art
yeah.
than, you know, I mean, it is music as well, but it's also like, to me, like those things as well, like just kind of where these things are hitting and just like the space of it all, and like affecting things and letting, you know, the licks come in and out when they're making the dub mixes. It's so cool, you know? Like, how can you not like that?
Yeah. No, totally.
Like, I can't trust people who don't like reggae. There's like there's something up there, you know?
I think I'm
flag.
gonna 100% have to agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Just because it's also one of those things where I think it's simultaneously like weird, and I mean weird good, but also so accessible.
Also, just
Yeah.
like, it just feels good to listen to.
Yeah.
Like that's like that's all you need.
Well, because I think I might have mentioned this on the pod on another episode, but like I was having this moment recently where, you know, and I'm sure you have this often, you know, when you really start digging in any genre, anything, and you start to think that the mainstream, accessible, base level version of it is like shit.
Yeah.
Like I had this moment, I was like, wait a minute, why did I convince myself that Bob Marley was bad?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's dope.
No, I know. But I'm saying that in the sense that like I started out like liking Bob Marley when I was like, I don't know, like 12. Not even 12, when I was a little kid. My mom would play it. But like, you know, then you start to go like, oh, but this is like some like fucking like white guy college shit. Like you gotta like really start to dig and find some cool shit.
Yeah.
That's
You
just
get into,
a
like,
testament to how good and accessible reggae
Exactly.
is.
And I'm just saying that I fell victim to that, where I had to actually go back and be like, yo.
Well, I feel like we've talked about this a lot of like not doing that anymore.
Trying
but
not
then,
to, yeah.
Yeah, but then there's things that we like. Speaking personally, there's things that I've just hated or just not liked for so long.
Yeah.
And then it takes me until realizing that the reason I didn't like it is because of that thing that I've already let go of in every other aspect.
Exactly,
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And then it's like, wait, and then just open up a whole world of things that for some reason I've turned myself off of.
Yeah, it's fucking like quote unquote like cool guy mentality.
Yeah.
It's like bullshit
Yeah.
cool guy mentality.
Yeah.
You have to de-cool yourself every now and then. It's like really, really
I
important.
love that every now and then.
Cool.
Just every now and then.
Yeah.
You got to stay cool.
I
but you gotta
mean,
de-cool every now and then.
my friend, Brennan Green, he was a mentor of mine in my early 20s. Like, he said something really interesting, and he's like, whatever you do, Raf, like, don't ever believe the hype. And it's like stuck with me for years. It's like, whenever you think like, you're like doing like this thing that makes you like better than everybody else, or like any kind of thought that like passes through your mind where you feel like, like I'm above it, like just step down.
I know.
We were talking about this
unfortunately,
today.
I always believe that. Not about myself though. I'm talking about with like I do often find myself getting like sucked at being like yo, like I'm one of those guys where I'm like day one I'm like, this is the best shit ever. Yeah. And then the next day I'm like, that's okay. Yeah.
But that's
and I'm
different.
just being honest with myself.
That's different.
It's
But
kind of-
it's
this
more
relates
so
to
what you were saying.
This
about,
also
like,
relates to what we were talking about earlier before Raf got here, which was like the people who become caricatures of themselves when like the hype around them becomes too much and they start to believe it too much,
right?
And then they lose the entire plot altogether. I forget who we were talking about that in reference to, but there's a lot of people that's happened to, and I think that's the same kind of thing.
And it's just, and that's like the same too, like like you shouldn't ever like feel like embarrassed about like liking something. Like I'm gonna put my hand up there, and like Scooter was like, my first CD purchase, and like I know it's trashy Euro music, but it is a good song. It sticks and it has value. It does, and I'm just putting it out there.
Of course, it's like, and you have to though. You have to believe in some of that shit. You have to know that like, and that goes back to what we're saying. There is good versions of everything. And good. There is no good and bad. I think that's where we're at now.
Yeah. There's no good and bad.
It's just what it means to you. It's just what it means to you.
Exactly.
Like seriously, like
you
think of those initial things and it's like, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to fight that, like to not get sucked into that urge,
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like we live in a world where we need to make a decision on everything all the time. You are confronted with, is it for me? Is it not for me? Am I into it? Am I not into it? Everyone's trying to like figure that shit out like all the time.
Well, I feel like
most of the time you make it up before you've even heard it sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, new Kendrick drop? I don't like it, but I'll listen to it and see, shit like that.
Well, for example, new Kendrick, I listened to it once and I was like, eh. Yeah. And I feel like I'm probably never going to listen to it again. And I'm like, we talked about with fucking Licorice Pizza again earlier, but things where, I feel like we're so forced now to have an opinion on literally everything.
Yeah.
That there's not enough time in the day to have an opinion on everything.
No.
Like, I could sit here and be like, Kendrick Lamar album, not very good. I listened to it one time. Should I really be saying that? Absolutely not. Like, I didn't get, we were talking about Licorice Pizza and you were like, don't like it. And I was like, well, I saw it that one time and I liked it, but if I watched it again, I might have a different opinion. Because
I liked it the first time too.
Exactly.
That was
See, my favorite thing lately, that I've been trying to like instill more in my life with everything that I need to have an opinion on. I just love to say and to follow with, I need more time to think about it. And I was really struck. I was talking to my cousin. She's like 12, one of the youngest of like my generation in my family. And like, she was asking me, she lives in London and she's 5 hours ahead. So sometimes I'll get home from work and she'll like be like replying to my stories.
Right.
Like, hey, how you doing? Like, I miss you. And then like some days I'm like, I can't sleep. So like, I'll be like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to like talk to her for a sec.
Yeah.
And one day I just like wrote her. I was like having a really bad week, and I like wrote her like this whole like paragraph. She's like 12, you know. And I like
You're
felt
just trauma
really
dumping
like,
on a 12-year-old.
yeah, I'm just like totally like trauma dumping on this 12-year-old.
Oh no. But
and you know, she wrote to me, damn, like that really sounds like quite heavy and serious what you're going through, but I'm going to school now and I want to take some more time to think about what I want to say.
What a
what
legend.
you said.
Wow.
And like it like blew me away. Like I was in tears. I was like, you are so smart.
Yeah.
You know, this
Damn.
immediacy of needing to have an opinion or something to say, it's just like such a like intense pressure.
Well, and it's really new and to this degree because of texting and like just our communication cycles. It's just like you get something like that, you know, you don't have time to write. Like you know, like in the past, say we would write a letter,
Yeah.
you know, and that you would be able to like construct ideas and think about it, and then have the whole time of sending it and everything before you know. These, but now it's like something happens, something comes up, and you need to know right then or there if you like it, if you agree, or what your opinion is of it.
Yeah, it's intense.
It's insane.
You know?
That's really emotionally
It's
mature
really
of her.
intense. And yeah, it just kind of blew me away. And any instance in my life where I think that's appropriate, I just say that now. And it's like, help me make better decisions in life.
Yeah.
And also like made me feel like, you know, I actually made the decision that I like feel comfortable with.
That's always how I always am when I like leave a movie. I try, because every single time. That's why I really don't like. I don't like going to movies. I don't like going to movies with film people because they always want to like get really into it right after, and I'm like, I fucking can't. Like, I always need to sit and stew on it. But yeah, I don't know if I apply that everywhere else in my life.
Yeah. Oh, I feel like I oftentimes. I think that I'm just okay because I don't do that. I should definitely, like I was saying, I should take time to actually think and come up with logical answers to some of these questions. But oftentimes I find myself giving an immediate response, but I think that I'm okay with admitting when I'm wrong or changing my opinion.
Yeah, that's important. Because also
That's
your immediate
also
response
important,
is super important.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's your instinctual understanding of something. Like
Yeah.
that's really
Like, for example,
most important.
New Drake 21 Savage came out, and a friend of mine was like, yo, what do you think? And I was like, incredible. And then
What you mean, 21?
do I think that now? No. But in that exact
But hey,
moment,
you
I
liked
was
it.
like, you know, I was in Arizona. I was like chilling. I was just kind of like in a very just like, you know, like I put it on and I was like, and I was like, this is nice. And like in that exact moment, I was like, this is incredible. That being said, do I think that now? No, there's some tracks, but that's not the point. The point is that like my opinion has since changed.
Well,
Right.
and also opinions like that can be so dependent on where you are and what you're doing too. You know, you were sitting by a pool in Arizona listening to it. Yeah, that's gonna be a good fucking album.
Yeah, I was like, this is sick. But then again, I probably could have heard anything and been like,
Electro
oh, yeah.
Swing.
That's the
Oh
real
my
test.
god. There's a couple more things I wanted to talk about.
Hit me.
Okay. Why do you call yourself a lazy music guy from Toronto?
Cause like I truly can't be fucked sometimes, man.
Like, where did this come from? What makes you lazy?
I mean, I don't know. Like,
Because it doesn't seem like you're lazy at all. I'll say this.
I mean,
It seems like a bit of a lie.
I mean, it is and it isn't. I guess I'm like really like laissez-faire about it. Like, I don't really like scramble to like make music all the time in my free time. Like, it's been like months since I've like wrote a lick, but I've been doing other kind of adjacent things, and I don't know. It's like, I guess it's like more so to remind myself that like I don't need to like always be operating in the mode of like me, the DJ producer guy, you know, like
Not always grind mindset.
yeah, like
Yeah, no,
I
that
just,
shit's bullshit.
it's bullshit, you know, and like I don't know. I actually do like take the piss sometimes. You know?
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
You know, but also that I feel like really like pure and good when I do sit down to do something, because like it doesn't feel like, oh, like I have to like be here and do this.
But you can't. You can never force it. Like, you can never force it. There's nothing wrong with taking months off from creating. It doesn't. People seem to think that like, in order to like be an artist, you have to like do it every day, and then somehow if you just like don't do it for X amount of time, like you're no longer an artist. It's like what, you know?
How can I say, like, the word lazy is not a bad thing. I mean, I guess by lazy I mean like I'm really relaxed and like not really bothered about too much.
Fucking relaxed.
But you're literally lying down on the couch right now. You're pretty fucking relaxed.
You know, like I'm just chilling with the whole thing. Like I try not to let it get to me, and like for the most part it doesn't, you know. Like,
that's good.
And I try not to. I don't know, Toronto's like a city that is very like hustle mindset and like a lot of shop talk and this and that, and like at the end of the day, man, like I'm just like a guy who loves to like get together with his pals and like have a couple pints, smoke a bit of weed,
some pints with
cigarettes,
the lads.
you know, like that's really it. Like I that's like what I spend probably most of my time doing.
Well, that's also like a part of the that's the process. Yeah, it's part of the process, you know? It kind of is. It honestly kind of is. Like, I hate to say it, but like chilling is like part of the process.
Yeah. And it's like I wouldn't have like been able to do any of these things had I not been chilling like somewhere, you know?
I mean, if you weren't, I mean, everything you've discussed so far is just like, and then I was just chilling and so-and-so walked in.
Dude, I can't think of a single single thing that's happened, an advancement of some kind in my life that hasn't happened from chilling.
Yeah. Oh no, I
haven't applied for anything and gotten
it.
Like I don't think I've applied for like anything in my life, like done something.
That's not true.
No, let me finish. Very few times have I like say like applied for a job and then gotten it. Most of the times I've gotten jobs, it's been like chilling with someone, and then they tell me that, you know, and then I get a job. Like I've rarely ever had like no hustle mindset has ever gotten me much.
You know? No, the hustle mindset,
like, to a degree.
The hustle mindset is definitely like a way of doing things, but I think oftentimes, but then again, if chilling is grinding, then hustle mindset works.
Let's go.
Exactly. Hustling to chill more, you know.
Why grind to hustle? Or do you hustle to grind? Damn. All right, man.
I hope that makes sense. You know,
does.
Like, I really don't spend too much time thinking about like, all right, what's my next move? You know, like too much. Like I just kind of like ponder it every now and then. I'm like, all right, well, let's see like what can work. And, you know, and if things don't work out, I'm also okay with that. You know, because I don't know, I just like hate being stressed, man. It's just like the worst, man. This shit fucking kills you, yo. And of course I get stressed, right? But I really just love to chill out and be relaxed as much as possible in this otherwise like very like kind of chaotic kind of lifestyle that surrounds doing this sort of thing. Yeah.
I think I needed a reminder of that. I've been stressing myself out over like
you look a
shit.
little stressed.
I've been stressed
when you came over today.
I know. I have.
I was like, dude, come on, just chill.
I needed a reminder.
But I guess I'm also in like I'm still like coming
Arizona
off of
mode.
like just like literally chilled.
I've also
for a week. And I'm kind of like, now I'm actually in the opposite. We're not even to say that I'm trying to like grind.
Like maybe I'm just like on a permanent come down. I just haven't like been able to like, you know, leave it.
It's a permanent come down. I think we have an episode title.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
That's good. A couple more things I wanted to ask you.
Ask me anything.
One was, more so just like about, you know, music discovery and like the dig and like, you know, what was the last thing that like blew your mind? Because before I answer the question, I feel like there's a correlation between digging for records and age, in the sense that when you're younger, you can, you know, you get your mind blown a little more. You're like, whoa. And as you get older, not to be like, I've heard it all, because I have not. But, you know, you start to sort of contextualize music and things. And you're like, okay, this is just that. Or this is this. Or this isn't like, you know what I mean? And for me, it's honestly been a long time since and I honestly can't remember necessarily the last thing that really blew my mind. But it exists. It's just, I actually just can't remember. But so like, what was the last thing that like you just like actually just like, but it could be a record, it could be like a, you know, hyper local scene, it could be anything. Like what was the last thing that like really like just like you're like, whoa?
Well, I wanted to preface this like with saying like you know I love like buying records and like I love like music that was like lost and or forgotten, but a lot of the new music I've been listening to that's been exciting me is like all the like contemporary music coming out of like Uganda and also in Algeria right now, like as an extension of like the traditional music, but now they have like access to like synths and shit and like.
Have you heard of Duma?
Who?
Duma?
Duma, no.
It's like I forget where they're from. It's like basically African like synth black metal. Crazy shit. Like one of the best records I've heard in like a minute because it's just like it's that thing where it's like as you're saying like getting access to certain pieces through the internet has created these things that like on paper make no sense.
Yeah, and like there's this like cat in Tanzania who my friend did like this hilarious like radio show with for his show in Clyde Built Radio in Glasgow. He's like, Raf, you got to check this guy out. He's totally nutty. He like makes these like loops in Ableton and like loads them into virtual DJ and like has like 8 different like drum loops and like him on the mic as well and like loops and stuff. It is so freaky. Like he's DJing with like the keys as well, like muting stuff and like it's just so freaky. And his name is DJ Travela with 2 L's, Mr. Mixondo. It's something like
That's
this.
so sick.
Yeah, it's like really whoa, okay. And like, but the thing that really grips me is like the impact. I've seen some of his like footage from like street parties in Tanzania and like whoa, dude, like this looks fucking lit. Like people are just like they look like they're being like exercised or something.
Right.
Like, you know, they're like head banging and shit. Like they're going crazy, man. And like it's just raw, you know, like the energy of it. Like it's not by any means like a very like nice and pretty, you know, rich studio production. It's very like
but that's always the best shit.
It's
though.
the best.
That's always the best.
And like, you know, all the stuff that they've been doing with Nyege tapes in Uganda is
one of my favorite labels.
Hype, man.
I was gonna say that's probably the last thing that's actually Duma's on that label.
Oh really? Okay,
Yeah.
well there you go.
Yeah.
So Nyege tapes and like everything affiliated with them, dope. And like in Algeria they have this whole new like digital Rai movement that's happening. I bought this record the other day. It's like 2022 contemporary Rai from Algeria. This woman named Sheba Wahida.
Okay.
And it's just like so ripping. Like this is a strong opinion of mine. I think autotune sounds the best with Arabic.
100%. I 100% agree with you.
It already is a language that sounds like it has autotune on it.
Yeah.
Well, it lilts.
Yeah,
It lilts up and down.
And then when you put autotune on it, it's like, yo, like it's like crazy.
Yeah.
Like the Sheba Wahida record really blew my mind. And also, this is some craziness that I recently discovered during the pandemic was these like my friend Richard in Montreal like one day sent me this video of this like huge like speaker stack in like some field in India, and he's like, Raf, have you seen this shit? And I was like, no, but I'm gonna check it out. And I click play and it's like a whole slew of like horns, like sirens, like horn speakers with sirens, and like little children like running around like in the center of the sound stage. And I guess what's happening is like these sirens are like kind of slightly detuned from each other, so there's this like phasing that's going on as you like run around in the
You need to
center.
send this to me,
dude. And it's like these guys like who like this is because like in like Bangladesh and India and Pakistan, like we don't really have like fully open to the public venues. Like there are people with money who can go to their own private venues to watch whatever our traditional music events, but like this is something that's like coming out of like the village in like the lower caste regions where like these people
like homemade sound systems.
Yeah. So they also do cell phone repairs, laptop repairs, you know, data recovery, homes or not home but sound systems and various other things. And I guess, advertise their business, which is kind of like what I was gathering. It's like a promotional event for their services with these huge like speaker stacks, and they do it for the festivals, which are called Malas, and they have regional festivals where like people just show up with this like sound system on a truck, and some of it is also like music as well. Like it kind of reminds me of like, you know, like Miami bass.
Yeah.
They have those like bass tracks that have like the sine wave drops and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
To showcase kind of like the frequencies. Yeah.
Well, wait, what's that Miami? What's that like subgenre of Miami bass where it's just like just the bass?
Just the bass.
What's it called? It's like
car
car shit.
music.
It's like
it's
a car Miami. It has
yeah,
a name though. Anyways,
yeah.
continue.
But like it's kind of like that,
Yeah.
you know. And dude, like there's like 3,000 like people in this like field. It's like peak COVID in India.
Yeah.
And they're just wiling out to these like edits of like little snippets of like Bollywood songs, but with this sound system test music as well, layered in rhythm with it.
Whoa.
And like it's not like there's this DJ, I bought a ticket for this event, like they just show up and do it, and like there's all these like people from the village like, what the fuck is this? Like, I'm gonna go check it out. And the next thing you know, a crowd forms, and it's just like, it's like cuckoo bananas. Like,
Side note, it's called car audio bass.
Car audio bass. Yeah, there you go. And like, it's like also just looks very unsafe. Like, you know, these like 30-foot sound systems are like strapped onto like a little like
belts and
truck.
shit.
Yeah, with the belts. I'm like, you know, and like the volumes are really loud. So when it's a cell phone video, and like you watch what they're doing, and you hear the bass drops, and like the lens of the camera will like wobble.
No,
and I'm like, there's like a 8-year-old and his like two friends like standing right in front of the speaker.
Damn.
I mean, it's completely lawless because it's like in the village, and like also it's like it's India.
Yeah.
Like nobody's really like thinking about decibel levels and like how that would, like everyone's just like, yo, what the hell is this? Like this looks crazy. Like,
we gotta go check it out.
Like, they don't even have like a bar, you know what I mean?
It's
Like
just a
like,
congregation of people.
It's like a congregation of people in this
based
like,
on sound.
obnoxious sound system, and like sometimes it's music and sometimes it's just like kind of like sounds like sirens and like various bass drops, and like they will have an MC every now and then, and like I have no idea what the fuck is going on.
This
but
is
like,
literally
it looks
the
cool.
best answer I could have asked for.
That's fucking insane.
Yeah, I will send you some links. Whoever's tuning in, check out DJ Chandipur. He's got some footage. Sonu Chandipur has some footage with like tiger gifs added with videos of some of his sound system adventures. Yeah, it's really like, it's something else. And like what I love about it is that it's distinctly like they don't know anything about like dub sound system or any of that. This happened independently.
Yeah, it's not.
You know,
like
they don't know about
not
Miami bass. Yeah, it's not. It's not, but it also is. Like, there's something that two of them would show up. Yeah. And then it's like this like cacophony of like, it's like almost like it's got like in some weird way like it's like India atonal, man. Like it's some like next like noise music kind of thing going on, but it's like heavy like some punk vibes to it.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, fuck it, you know, like we just made this and like we're gonna play some sirens and like these kids are gonna run around and you know like we'll hang out here all day in the sun.
Fuck.
In the name of God.
That's so sad.
Like,
that's so sad.
It's so cool.
Damn. Yeah, we need to
go
find
to
this.
that.
We need to find
I'm
this.
just like wondering if this is like where it's at now. Like, what is that going to develop into?
Yeah.
Because these people are just building. They're like, you know, poor people in the village, and they're building this new thing that has like no infrastructure of any kind.
Yeah.
And like they're going for it, man.
Yeah.
And like what will come, so long as it doesn't get co-opted by
Which
like, the
let's
middle class.
just face it. Unfortunately, the fact that you even mentioned it on this pod, no, I'm just kidding.
You just mentioned on the Gench pod. Come on.
But no, continue.
But it's just crazy because like I don't know like what software they're using or anything. I haven't been able to see the booth side of it. I just see these cell phone videos, you know, and it's happening also in multiple places in India by different people.
Right.
So like I don't really know like what they're doing it for. Like, is it like it's part advertisement for the services of fixing the phones and your tablet computer stuff, blah blah blah. It's kind of like a music event because people are like, yo, like let's dance. Like there's people dancing and
people
stuff.
People come and congregate based on this. Yeah.
And then it's also just like noise, sound art kind of thing going on as well. Like I'm really confused, but that's why it intrigues me more.
Yeah.
What the hell is this?
This is why I'm intrigued.
Like I'm really like, glad that Richard sent me that video because it was like in like January or something of 2021. Like COVID was spreading like crazy in India.
Right. And this was
and like of course like I agree it was unsafe, like all these people like getting together, but I was also like, holy shit.
Yeah.
The fuck is this? Like, this is crazy.
And did it come out of COVID? Like, was this like a new way? Like, was this like something that came? Like, did this exist pre-COVID?
I mean, the furthest back I could go was like maybe like just before COVID, but it's like definitely like a new thing.
Okay.
Like a lot of these cats like don't really have anything like COVID. Like in fact, like I think amplified it more. Like it's like now we have more time to like do these things, but like they're like gargantuan sound systems like teetering on this like little truck.
I feel like I've like maybe seen pictures of this.
You know what? Recently, what's that guy's account? Lemem Young.
Yeah.
Posted a clip from one of these.
Okay, I might have seen this then.
Yeah, it was like maybe like a month and a half ago.
Does this sound? I'm like visualizing something in my head.
Yeah, I have I've.
Yeah. And it's like fully decked out in like all these colors and like they're just loads of people, like a lot of people, just like very close to each other at the function, and it's just like all right, what are they doing? Like what is this? It's like I want to know like what the people are thinking. Like what do they tell each other after like the show? Or the next week when they see their mates and they're like, whoa, like what did you do last weekend? Yo, like I was
we went to the
Mela, but like what do they say about what they witnessed?
How do they describe it?
Yeah, how do they describe it? It's like I don't know how to describe it. I have no idea what the hell is going on, but it looks like it's interesting. It sounds cool as hell. Yeah, and it kind of like occupies a few different spaces, like in terms of sound and music, and I'm like, okay, this is really weird, but interesting. that was like probably the biggest one that blew my mind. It's so unrefined and raw, the energy of what was going on in that zone. I'm like, that's really cool and pure,
Yeah, that sounds insane. I was not expecting that answer.
Is there anything else you wanted to go over? I think we're good. Last thing
any shout outs for you?
What's next? What's on the horizon?
Oh God, I guess I'm gonna have to do it.
You gotta plug yourself, man.
All right. Well, definitely the second Orphic Apparition record's on its way out soon.
Sick.
I don't know when, but probably like March or something.
Sick.
It's some music that Paul made when he was showing his wife's friend in Japan. She asked him, so like you do like this music stuff, like what do you do? So he pulls out his iPad and like starts making a track like right then and there, and then he like went home and like stemmed it all out and made this track, and then I did a remix for him. So we're doing a 10-inch pressed on 45, so you can play it like sludgy and slow if that's your thing.
Nice.
But one thing that's super exciting coming down the pipeline is we are doing a little boiler room action in Toronto in February. So that's on the 17th. So it's my first time.
Oh, boiler room debut.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, there would be no video, but I'm kind of like cool with that.
Yeah.
I'm just like happy to like take the cash and co-sign.
Yeah.
But that would be exciting. We're doing a whole crew as Parallel Minds with Cindy, Dan, and Yohei, and our friend Will. So that'll be a nice, like, we'll all be playing in one room. So
sweet. That'll
be exciting. And then, I don't know, I hope I can get on the road again soon.
Sick.
Trying to maybe get some dates in July. So if there are any international listeners, if you are anywhere near Estonia or London or Glasgow,
let's go.
Give me a shout.
Damn. All right. Sick. Perfect.
Sick.
All right. Thanks for coming through.
Thank you so much, guys, for having me.
Peace.
Great time. Ciao.
Peace.